Hey everybody, I just loaded up my stream today and I decided to pull up a Topson pub and saw him do something absolutely crazy. He was streaming it himself and I just couldn't believe that what I saw because this guy's a mid lane player and right now he's playing off lane. I think this is a crazy cool tip for creep aggro and it just shows basically there's no bounds to what you can do with mechanics in Dota to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Banana slam jam.
So let's really quickly set the stage. Okay, so we're top. We've got 3 creeps pushing into us, right? So the lane's where we want it to be. But then we see that the opponent 5 position with a ward, he sees it, is going to pull the wave. So what's going to happen is that if he just plays this lane normally, right? These three creeps are just going to die to his creep wave. And then by the time that this pulls over, these 3 creeps that are going to die to, or these creeps that are going to kill the creeps are going to go into tower, right? Then I guess the safe lane Tusk, I don't really know what's going on with that, but the wave's going to push into the Tusk, and then it's going to just like kind of stay near tower, because that's going to cancel each other out. These 3 creeps are going to die right here, and then these 4 creeps are going to die up here, and it's all just going to be like a normal lane. So what does he decide to do, since he's got the lane back here, and he doesn't really want it to go back to normal? This is crazy. He decides to drag the creeps to the right using the Willow. He then drags the creeps to the right using the enemy mid laner. It could be anybody on the map, right? It doesn't have to be a specific hero. But then he's going to drag 2 more times. And if I had to guess, this maybe adds about 5 seconds due to the travel time as well as the restricted pathing from the trees that it takes these 4 Radiant creeps to kill this Dire creep. So what ends up happening is, because it takes longer, this process where the 4 creeps right here are supposed to walk down the creep wave, not only did it take about 5 seconds longer to kill the creep wave, but it's also going to take like 2 or 3 seconds longer for these creeps to walk back the distance they've traveled. Instead of the creep waves meeting like right here, the creep waves are going to meet right here. So this accomplishes 2 things. And apparently Topson talked about this on his stream. One that he did not mention that I would like to mention is that he's simply safer here, right? Oh my gosh, I have to decline this. So he's simply safer here. He's simply safer here in the sense that the lane's not up here. He'd rather the lane meet here if he can, right? So instead, really, dude, are you kidding me? Do I have to wait for the pub to be over now? Are you serious? Dude, are you griefing me, Dota, or what? Did you just grief me, Dota? Where's the pub? Dude, what the fuck? Someone abandoned? Does anybody have the game ID?
A few moments later.
So, after that shenanigans. So not only is it that the creep wave doesn't meet up here, so it's in a better spot for him, but because of what we talked about in past coaching sessions, the creep wave of his own, the next one. So I want you to keep in mind that these 2 creep waves, if the pulls never happened, if what he did didn't happen and what the Willow didn't happen, these creeps would pretty much be dead already. Like, think about it, right? They'd already be dead. So here, what ends up happening is, since they're still alive much longer than they should be, the next creep wave for Topson's coming in, and that means that he's going to get a double wave. He's going to get, his creeps are going to get here before the opponent creeps, right? Because both of these creeps, like this next creep wave, and this next creep wave, they're supposed to meet like right here. So if the wave's back here, this one's going to get there first before this one. And this is a way that can stack the waves. Like this is a way that you can get double waves. So what he's not only doing is making it so that this creep wave meets in a safer spot for him, which is good for one creep wave, but it's also setting him up to look to potentially dive and be aggressive with a double wave. As you see here, he's now going to get 7 creeps and a free creep wave and a half. Where he's got all this CS, he gets all the control in lane, and now the lane's going to push into this enemy wave much harder than they would normally like to. And even if it doesn't set up aggression, I can only tell you that, like when I say it doesn't set up aggression, notice how even though he's not being aggressive, the lane is now pushed and the opponent's not able to be aggressive on him. If there's this many creeps, The deterrent not only is that the enemy heroes are scared of taking damage from these creeps, but also if they were to leave, like say the Tusk and Willow were going to go aggressive on him right now, the Tusk would just be missing a bajillion CS under tower, right? Like he would be busy killing the Centaur or harassing the Centaur instead of killing these creeps that are in front of his face. So super early game, if you can ever get double waves up, this is something that Nico Baby talked a lot about in his course. It kind of just ensures your safety for a while. It's especially good if you're an offlaner pushing it into their safe lane because it gives you like these 2 or 3 creep waves of safety, but then it also makes it so the lane's going to like ricochet back towards you. So eventually, because you keep pushing it into their tower. So this was just a cool little tidbit that I know it's not necessarily pertaining to the new patch itself, but man, this kind of blew my mind because I've played a lot of offlane games and I've never even considered doing something like this. And when you see players that don't even play your lane do something that you never thought of, it kind of just blows your mind. So I hope you guys learned a lot here, and just please remember, there's no bounds to what you can do with creep aggro and the creativity around it. That was cool. So it's funny that I decided to watch this mid lane pub from Topson because Twitch chat told me that he was playing this funny build on Troll, and it just so happened that he did the same thing in mid lane that he did on Centaur as he does on Troll here. So in the Centaur tip, he just simply dragged the creeps to the right? That's all it really looked like he did. But we talked about all the implications that it had, and if you're wondering if you're going to apply to your other lanes as well, let's show you. So notice how the lane's going to push into his tower. He's got no creeps. He's in mid lane. He wants the lane on his hill. That's pretty much where you always want it, right? Everything these top level players do is all going to be geared towards putting the lane equilibrium exactly where they want it. So a lot of times you could either sit here tanking the creeps, which would potentially allow Lesh to harass you, maybe go for a deny. Maybe you're going to take an extra 50 to 100 damage just from right clicks of the creeps. But instead, he just drags the creeps to the side. Same idea. And he's going to minimize the damage he takes, and he's going to set himself up to have the lane exactly where he wants it. Now, another little bonus tip on top of this is that he has the lane where he wants it. So notice how these 2 creeps are delaying his creeps from moving, but he also doesn't want the lane pushing into him. Because if the lane pushes into him, then the next creep wave is going to go underneath his tower. Also, the more creeps the enemy has and the less creeps you have, the more aggressive they can be. So first, he does the side trick. Then secondly, he does it where he starts hitting these creeps, such that they're going to be dead by the time the Leshrac comes back, as well as the time that the new creep wave meets. So now what we're seeing, after those 2 small maneuvers, the drag to the side and the hits on the creeps, the lane is exactly where he wants it with the exact number of creeps that he wants. And what I love about these 2 tips is that the first one was a much more creative, extravagant way of accomplishing the same thing, but in the mid lane it's pretty simple. But the overall message is, if not proven to you guys already, that top level pro players, Topson 2-time TI winner, they dissect the game in a way that makes the creeps, the equilibrium, the number of creeps, what the creeps are doing, where they're meeting, all this shit, exactly how they want it. And all it takes is figuring out exactly how to do that. But what I've emphasized to you guys at the lowest level that can start working on is that in the middle lane, you want the creep wave right here. In the side lanes, you want the creep wave back here. And so what you're seeing when I tell you that is that's what you're supposed to make happen. Now, these little examples, these tidbits that I'm giving you are just proving to you, at least hopefully, that pro players will do whatever it takes to make that happen. And it's up to you guys, whatever hero you're playing, whatever matchup you're in, whatever mechanics are working in that current patch, to make it happen. And I hope you guys learned a lot from Topson here, because I did with that first initial Centaur thing, and it was so funny to tune into this and see this as well.
If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.